All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Welcome everyone to our webinar, Unlocking Flexible Migration Financing with ReluTech and InterVision's Iron to Cloud program. My name is Adam Scamahorn. I am the product director for cloud for InterVision Systems. And with me today, I have Ryan Norton from ReluTech. Ryan, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, happy to. Thanks, Adam. I'm Ryan Norton. I'm the Vice President of our AWS Alliance and Channel Programs here at ReluTech, headquartered out of Spokane, Washington, and happy to be a part of this podcast today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for joining me, Ryan. Maybe this will proceed. All right. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the necessity of cloud transition, why organizations are still doing cloud migrations, and why this is even a relevant topic, first and foremost. Then talk a little bit about some of the barriers and roadblocks that still exist today. Specifically, we're going to talk about one of the dilemmas we see a lot of both of our clients dealing with today, and that's the VMware dilemma. And then kind of delve into how we solve that together between InterVision and ReluTech. We've got a pretty good story around accelerating cloud transition, and then give an overview of the Iron to Cloud program. So without any ado, at a high level, I want to just kind of talk about all of the organizations that are still making transitions to cloud. We see this a lot in our managed services business, from disaster recovery as a service and business continuity. First, from clients who have been traditionally on-prem, still leveraging the cloud from a disaster recovery and business continuity space. We also see this as a huge cost optimization for organizations, moving from a larger upfront spend to a more monthly reoccurring revenue model, where they are able to handle costs in a efficient, effective way in the cloud, utilizing elasticity and scalability without having to buy servers up front, as well as just the modernization capabilities that go into that. Gartner says that 85% of organizations will implement a cloud-first strategy by 2025. That's coming up on us real quick, and we are definitely seeing that. If organizations haven't already made that decision, it's still happening. Anything you'd like to add to that, Ryan?
No, I think this is a really great synopsis of what's happening in the world today, right? Is that customers are dealing with all of these changes that are happening rather rapidly in our industry, and taking care of your ability to forward think your migration strategy around things like digital transformation and how you want to be seen in the market down the road. And really about, this is more about who is the company that you want to be, not who the company you are today, right? And so I think when we're looking at, as you're looking to build out new offerings, new go-to-market solutions, and new ways to approach your customers, your customer base, that having these cloud first strategies that allow you to take advantage of elasticity, scalability, and flexibility that cloud provides will certainly increase your ability to be first to market and reduce pressures on your IT environment. So great discussion. Thanks, Adam.
Absolutely. Slides do not want to move forward today. Sorry about that. So I mentioned we'd talk a little bit about cloud barriers, things that are keeping clients still kind of locked in the data center. And, we have worked for a long time. InterVision's been a cloud company since 2006. We were one of the very first organizations ever to host a VMware powered cloud. And we were big partners with AWS and Azure, helping organizations kind of solve those talent gaps and cost issues as they go. And as we've partnered with ReluTech, I think they've got a really good story around the overall barriers they're still seeing and how we're helping there. So Ryan, can you kind of set the stage for the barriers that we see for organizations still trying to do cloud migrations?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Adam. And look, I mean, ReluTech is a company that's been around for over a decade now. We've been focused on AWS and other cloud migration endpoints for customers. And what we really address at ReluTech is the ability to handle the things prior to a migration that help a customer be able to focus on the actual migration itself. And what I mean by that is that if we can't help a customer get out of their OEM vendor refresh cycles and get them out of that hardware refresh rates that typically most companies do, where they do a third of their environment every year. If we can't break that up and help them get out of CapEx and into OpEx, it's hard to see a customer having a successful cloud migration. And so where ReluTech can come into play is in three key areas, right? The first is we can help you with your OEM vendor lock-in, breaking up your contracts that are preventing you from moving to the cloud by providing you with a cash infusion for your data center assets and allowing you to procure third-party maintenance for our hardware during that transition period. But also we see a lot of customers looking to offset what in the industry is called the double bubble spend, right? And what that is the slight increase in your environment costs while you're migrating, and then you'll see cost savings after you migrate. But during that time, you have what we call a double bubble of spend. And we try to offset that for customers by providing, again, cash incentives to allow the customer to be able to migrate effectively. And of course, we work with you guys, InterVision, to be able to solve for the talent issues that, look, let's face it, many customers can do lift and shifts, but the ability for InterVision to provide its customers with quality staffing to deliver on the promise of the cloud is something that I think helps to eliminate some of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt of a cloud migration. So ReluTech can help in a number of these areas, Adam.
Excellent. I'm going to jump into the promised VMware dilemma conversation. And I want to set the stage here by first acknowledging InterVision is a VMware partner. We have our own VMware powered cloud, and we'll continue to do that for clients who fit into that world. It's been very, very successful. In addition to that, though, we recognize we're almost a year into this Broadcom acquisition, and there have been some significant challenges for organizations who have been utilizing the VMware platform for a long time. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan to kind of talk through how ReluTech sees the VMware dilemma, and then I'll kind of wrap us up here.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Adam. And from our perspective, the challenge is this. And I would have told you, Adam, frankly, about 3 years ago, I would have said being in the migration game had gotten a little bit long in the tooth. Most customers had experienced some kind of cloud maturity assessment. There was an assessment fatigue that was happening, and really a lot of the business cases for why cloud weren't really coming to fruition. But what's happened in the last year with companies like SAP and VMware forcing their customers to look at SaaS options and to get out of the perpetual licensing model that many customers have enjoyed for the last several years has created a new sense of urgency in the migration space. And I think that as AI becomes more effective and more capable down the road, you're going to start to see cloud to cloud migrations becoming easier and easier. But what happened in the last year was VMware essentially told its customers that, hey, we're going to increase costs. And in many cases, we're seeing 5 to 10x increases in a customer's bill. And what they're also pushing for is customers to move out of a perpetual license model and into a SaaS model, which isn't really right for every single customer. At the end of the day, they're getting 30 days to make the decision on something that I call the Broadcom tax, which is you can either get out of VMware or you can pay the tax. And 30 days isn't sufficient enough for a customer to be able to plan that. So what we're hoping is to work with InterVision to identify customers who would have been good candidates for VMC, maybe are good candidates for your tooling that you guys have there at InterVision, but really to find those customers who are looking the ability to push pause on their decision for whether they're going to move from perpetual to SaaS. And what ReluTech is doing over and above the things that we do to help customers financially move to the cloud, we're also offering a third-party VMware support through InterVision to be able to support your VMware environment on a perpetual basis while you move to the cloud. And for us, it's all about supporting the customer in the ways that get them into a cost model that allows them to consume. And I think that there just really has created this new sense of urgency, whether you're running SAP and being forced to SAP Rise, or whether you're looking at just simply, I have an on-premise environment and 85% of on-premise environments run in VMware. What are my options? And we have some to coincide with the InterVision story.
Yeah, I think the VMware support piece is really key to this conversation. One of the things we've seen a lot this year are organizations who are like, hey, I don't really like this. I feel a little bit like I'm being bullied, but I don't really have an option. So I'm going to kick the can down the road and sign a deal with VMware. And so this opens up a kind of middle ground opportunity for organizations to say, well, I'm going to still get my VMware supported and my needs met, but I'm going to be able to have a little bit more freedom to look at what does my individual future look like as I plan for the next year and the next 3 years and the next 5 years with my virtualization stack. And this isn't just hit on-prem. VMC on AWS has basically gone end of life. And so there's no longer a play for organizations who are already done a cloud migration to kind of stay there. And so they need to look at what their options are if they want to continue to grow and evolve in the cloud. And so there's places there, even in the cloud, where InterVision can step in and help with that overall VMware dilemma. And we can help with licensing, we can help with support, but we have some other options. So you're not stuck with necessarily where VMware tells you you have to be, which is a cool place to be if you want to make sure you're planning the best outcomes for your future.
That's right. Yeah, we believe customer choice is critical, and having the customers have the ability to make that choice is obviously, what's going to lead to a successful migration. And the unique thing is, Adam, is every customer's migration journey is unique.
Absolutely.
Not everybody here has the same challenges, but as you're moving into this slide, I think it bears. And these are example numbers, right? We're just talking about how ReluTech can help in this environment. But this is what I call, kind of the money slide, right? Which is, how can we help a customer, and MAP in this instance, for anybody not aware, stands for the Migration Acceleration Program. It is an AWS program, but every one of the CSPs has one. But what we do in the instance of helping a customer with migration, and I mentioned it earlier, is we can provide a couple of key areas of success for you, right? The first is we can provide you, and in this case, we're using an example, but let's say your data center is something you want to monetize as you look to exit the on-premise data center and move to the cloud. We can provide you with an upfront cash offer for your data center through InterVision. And InterVision can pull it's very nominal information that we need to be able to provide you with a directionally accurate quote. But we can also term a leaseback of that data center, effectively removing your financial responsibilities to the data center, but providing you with a leaseback period that would coincide with your migration time. And what's unique about that, Adam, is this allows InterVision to provide its customers with a path to get out of CapEx and move into an OpEx motion. And this is clearly the easiest way to consume in the cloud, right? Customers can consume in a CapEx motion, but it is a lot more difficult. And frankly, it's not the one that most customers that consume in a cloud model want to have, right? But we also can provide the customer during that time period a 50% reduction over whatever they're spending in their hardware break fix maintenance today. So if a customer had a data center, and we'll just net it out for you, where we could offer them $100K cash upfront against the cost of those data centers, term a lease back during their migration period so they're not at risk, and we can even provide through InterVision swing gear to a customer who's looking to hold over until they can fully migrate. And then we can take whatever your hardware maintenance piece is and reduce that by a minimum of 50%. And Adam, we're seeing in many cases customers going from $1 million in hardware break fix spend down to as little as 200K. And that savings provides an immediate cost relief against that double bubble migration spend that we talked about earlier. And then third of all, you layer on InterVision's ability to deliver on third-party VMware maintenance to their customers, allowing them to keep their perpetual licenses while they migrate. And all of this can be co-termed out during the time of the migration. So if you're going to be migrating for 18 months, we'll make sure that all of your agreements end in 18 months. And again, at the end of the day, InterVision can provide all the professional staffing services and the ability to upskill the customers to make them feel comfortable with their migration strategy.
Thanks for summarizing all of that and giving some great examples, Ryan. I think it's really key here that a lot of organizations can provide some type of migration funding to help pay for the services to get you to the cloud. But what this does is goes above and beyond that. And when Ryan's talking about that double bubble, there is still a cost of running that data center during the term of a long-term migrations. These things don't happen overnight. And to be able to reduce the costs that much and pay for the cost of the migration is a huge step in being able to modernize, get access to all of the fun things that happen in cloud with infrastructure as code and containerization and artificial intelligence at an elastic model. That last piece, the professional managed services or staff augmentation, I think just goes back to that overall customer choice that you were talking about. Whether you're an organization that likes to do it yourself, but just needs some help raising your overall staff's knowledge, or you're an organization who really needs to partner with someone who can bring in a full bench. We can be an extension of your IT staff and of your overall expertise at whatever level you need us to be, all the way from staff aug, all the way up to completely taking over and managing your cloud environments. Let me figure out how to skip forward again. PowerPoint does not want to do this today.
This technology thing, it's going to take off, I'm sure.
It is. So quick little InterVision value prop before we kind of wrap the overall conversation is, like I mentioned earlier, we've been doing the cloud thing for a very, very long time. We're top tier partners with AWS and Microsoft. We've got experts of both sides of the house with managed services, professional services, and staff aug capabilities across the nation, and just overall, really deep bench. And on top of our cloud capabilities, we have collaboration practices, security practices, and on-prem. Just because you're cloud first doesn't mean on-prem always completely goes away. Sometimes there's a hybrid cloud play. And I think we're seeing more and more you need organizations that have expertise both with on-prem technologies, network infrastructure, as well as in the cloud, and how you bring those two things together. So kind of summarize a little bit here. We've got a pretty good story around how we can kind of unlock the value from those old investments and basically take organizations from where they are, save them a ton of money, and help them modernize. Ryan, do you have any specific use cases beyond the kind of example stories you've already shared, or anything that you'd like to share here?
Yeah, our goal at ReluTech is all about how to monetize the assets that you have in play to help you offset your cost model going forward to the cloud, right? And again, our goal, Adam, isn't to step in and say how you should do it. Our goal isn't to step in and say, these are the steps you need to take. Our goal is to provide you with additional financial incentives to be able to help you. And I can talk about one of our key use cases, at least with AWS, is one of the largest financial institutions in globally. And what we did to help them was we provided the ability to get that customer out of a $60 million data center, and we leased it back to them. We provided them with a check for $60 million upfront, and then we leased it back to them during the time of the migration, which in this case was 18 months. And because we were able to do that and save them dramatically on their third-party hardware break-fix maintenance during this time, we actually accelerated their migration to the cloud by as much as 18 months. And so, obviously the CSPs love that story, but also as a customer, you should be looking for all the ways to be able to, as I mentioned, monetize and take advantage of all the different funding mechanisms that can come or that can assist you with actually getting your physical migration moving. So, a lot of customers get hung up because they don't think of the things prior to migration that can be holding them up. And we're here to help you guys, InterVision, be able to deliver that story out to your customers.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that example. Wrap up here with kind of a call to action. If you'd like to talk to someone specifically about how InterVision can help accelerate your modernization with our partner ReluTech, go ahead and schedule a consultation right from our website. If you need a link, you can scan the code there on the screen, or you can just go to intervision.com, and there's lots of places to sign up for that.
Yeah, one other thing would be that if, sorry, Adam, one other thing
Yeah.
would be that if any of your guests are going to be attending AWS reInvent next in 2 weeks, we will be there and would be happy to work with you, Adam, to set up some meetings with any of your clients if anybody would like more intel.
Great call out. Absolutely. InterVision will be there as well. So if you'd like to meet us in person, definitely come by. Any questions for us as we kind of wrap the half hour here? Feel free to drop them into chat. Looks like Amanda has sent one over already. Says, what is the key value that customers of InterVision benefit by having ReluTech as a partner to their already robust suite of solutions?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we touched on a little bit of them, but when you look at the customer journey and the customer life cycle, being able to get out of an on-premise environment and out to the cloud, there are certain things that InterVision can provide, that being either the staffing or the professional services to deliver on that cloud migration, the migration itself, the modernization, all the asset tagging, and InterVision can really take advantage of a lot of funding mechanisms at the CSPs specifically. But as far as I know, and I've been doing, partner business now for over 20 years, and I've been focused solely on CSP migrations for the last 6. What I do know is that there's no mechanism in any of those offerings for financial assistance with your cloud migration that actually will help you get out of CapEx and into OpEx. And there's nothing that I know of that will help you to monetize your existing assets and also to make sure that those assets can get removed from your environment and handled successfully as far as a data sanitization process. So when you're looking at the combination superpower of InterVision and ReluTech, it's really being able to take a lot of the challenges ahead of a migration all the way through to migration, and then the modernization and optimization at the end, which is where InterVision is going to lead your customers to a very successful outcome. And that's really the whole path of cloud migration. And if you don't start at the beginning, it's hard to get to the end.
Well said. And I think that kind of ties into why we started working together a little while back. Anyways, we've been doing, like you said, the cloud migration piece, the funding capabilities to migrate people to the cloud for a very long time. And being able to leverage those additional support and financing capabilities are just extremely helpful for organizations who have all kinds of different hardware and software vendors and their own support needs, and just kind of in a rotating world of renewals and making sure that IT budget stands.
Yeah.
So,
and there's another value that I think a lot of people glance over, right? And that is that if your customers are talking directly to Microsoft, AWS, GCP, Oracle, doesn't really matter, right?
yeah.
The perception that they're going to get, or the perspective rather that they're going to get, is going to be the perspective of that CSP, right? What I love about the InterVision ReluTech model is that we're really agnostic from that approach. We're coming to a customer with what we think are going to be the best outcomes for them overall to help them achieve as successful outcomes that they're looking for, right? And in some ways, that's being able to see the sun through the clouds, right? Being able to get to where you want to go directionally in a path that allows you to take the most advantage, again, of that scalability, flexibility, and elasticity that cloud promises. So I'm excited about the partnership, and I can see a lot of benefits to your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Having those choices is key, and also having the expert guidance is key. I think one of the coolest stories I can share is back when I was leading the actual delivery team for our managed services. I would get calls every morning from one of the big consulting firms we did a lot of business with in the cloud, just asking me, hey, these are the things we want to achieve. These are the outcomes we want to get to. How do I do that? Right. And then just brainstorming with them almost every morning, and helping them kind of grow their overall cloud business by consulting with us as a team of cloud experts. So you got a lot of choices, but you also have a lot of people who can help you make the right decision in those choices,
Yeah,
to get the outcomes that you need. So
well
that's
said.
key. Yeah. Don't see any other questions popping in yet. Anyone else have any questions before we wrap?
Quiet crowd today.
So, Ryan, any predictions for 2025 as we wrap up the year?
Yeah, I think we're going to hear the term AI a lot. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
Adam, it's interesting. I have been of the opinion that, and I said it kind of to start off the podcast, that over the last couple of years, that migration talk had become a little lackluster, for a lack of better terms. I think the next 3 years is going to be an exciting time, as many customers are starting to now really take that cloud first mentality, as many customers are either voluntarily or being forced to the cloud. Having the right partner to be able to deliver against the promises of the cloud is critical. And what InterVision is doing, I think, is speaks for itself. But I think the work that we can do together for customers is going to continue those accelerations. And I think over the next 3 years, you're going to see companies building in AI solutions that are going to make migrations easier and easier. But between now and then, the amount of cost savings that a customer could realize by not waiting is immense. So, hopefully, we can help your customers, and you can as well, and we can show them why the vast majority of successful companies are consuming in the cloud today. So, thanks for having me today, and that's really the note I'd like to end on.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ryan.
All right.
Everyone
Well,
have a
thank
great
you
day.
guys. Everyone have a great day. I'll follow up with you later, Adam. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
All right, cheers.